GM. This is Web3 Writers. I'm CD Demiscio, joined by my co-host Rihanna Morgan. Cryptoversal Books is here co-hosting. We have amazing stuff all the time for you guys. And I better get rid of that echo, huh? Okay, let's see. Yes, there goes the echo. Oh, Masashi, I see you've joined us. Hey, so this is going to be the last Web3 writers that I host for a while. I don't know. I'm going to be in a very different time zone, so I'm not going to be able to host this space. But the beautiful thing is, you guys, is that Rihanna Morgan and E.R. Donaldson and all of our other friends and Web3 Writers Union going to be taking it and keeping it going. And so it's going to continue to be Vagobond Media, Web3 Writers, and yeah, just keep coming. But I will jump in when I can, just like Edward Carpenter. Sometimes you change into a different time zone. But Edward Carpenter and I have talked a little bit about doing a more Asia time zone friendly space. And so don't worry, it's not the last you'll see of me. I'm like a villain in a Bond film. I just keep getting back up. Riona, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I am super excited to be here. I'm a little sad with today's news. It's hard to have your best friend nearly in the world move across the planet from you. Um, anyway, but I'm so excited about your new future and your new experiences and your new adventure. I can't wait to hear all about it. And it'll be so wonderful to say that Vagabond magazine and Vagabond media have gone international and that we are worldwide and meeting writers and readers where they are anywhere around the world. And so that is beautiful. So yes, good morning, everyone. I'm Rihanna Morgan. I'm editor in chief of Vagabond magazine, and am so happy to be here with all of you today. And I'll pass the mic to Cryptoversal.
Thanks, Rihanna. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm Cryptoversal, and I am also excited about CD's new chapter in life and the newest adventures and following them wherever they take him. And so happy that, like the Olympics, we are passing the baton to all the team members to keep it forward momentum and um, in this metaphor, win the race, I suppose. But we all get to win the race together. So I am on the tail end of a bout of COVID. The line this morning was very faint, but still there. Hopefully gone by tomorrow.
Gosh darn, man. I hope so. We have come so far, where we've reached the point where, it can be a light bout of COVID. And I'm so sorry you have that, but I have to say, Cryptoversal, you have been absolutely like destroying it while you've been down with COVID. Like we'll get to this, but you've been doing amazing things in Lamina One and with Cyber Lambs and Lamster Universe, all that stuff. We'll talk about that. But we've got also Indefatigable is here with us today. We brought him up on the stage. Indy, how are you? And before you speak, I just want to say you dropped something like all casual, like oh, this is no big deal. Here's a small YouTube video. You dropped something yesterday that is just huge. It is so epic. So glad to have you here. How are you?
I'm so good. I feel like I'm excited for you. I'm excited for us. I'm I feel so grateful and supported by all the people in Page DAO and the writers who just like they're like, okay, you're building a thing. You kind of listen to us. Let's go. And so like it feels really, really good to like have something to show. So that was really cool. Thank you for everybody who checked out the little video and watched it. Um, I was just telling Musashi before we hopped on, it's so nice to have like, yes, a stack that isn't everything we want right now, but it's such a solid building framework. Like, um, we know who people are and we have them on all of their ways to get at them that are important. And then we have really, really cool baseline of tools and privacy built in and it's a good stack. I was like, we can hire developers to do like all the little cool features. We can do all this stuff. Anyway, so I'm stoked, needless to say. And I just am overwhelmed with great. I've never been in a part of a process that's cool. Um, it's been kind of the best thing ever.
Whoever did that, thank you. That was great. Oh my God, we're really moving up in the world. Hey, before we dive into any details, let's also say hi to Musashi. We got you here. You are always doing something cool. Always have your eye on cool stuff. What's happening, Musashi? Are you doing anything interesting this week?
My eyes are mostly on indie page down our new dApp, to be honest. There's a lot of things that are, piquing my interest in the market and new stuff, but honestly, the most exciting thing was getting up today and seeing that demo video posted, and I was like, oh wow, okay, it's on. And then moments later, Indy's like, hey, we got a new fixed API key from Charmverse. Tested that out. It worked. And I was like, okay, can I see? So we were squeezing in as much test time as we could before the show started.
Well, I was just going to do it, but I had to unmic. Somebody needs to post that video in our nest here, and maybe I'll get to that in a second. But for now, Cryptoversal, I wonder. I talk about Lamina One all the time on here, and I know Musashi's involved in Lamina One as well. Rihanna Morgan to some extent. Indefatigable. Not sure if you've picked up your LL1 tokens yet, but Cryptoversal, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on there?
What's going on there is you have a universe. I mean, that's very inspirational, and I am glad to be part of it. My own little corner of that universe is where the Cyber Lambs reside, and they are all inspired by cyberpunk authors and books and quotes. And there are 20 of them in the OG collection, and most of them have been claimed by their shepherds. And now they're looking for flocks. And the next generation of cyber lambs is coming. August 1st is going to be the first one, and it's going to be a blockchain of cyber lambs. So right now it's scheduled every 48 hours, a new block represented by a cyber lamb will drop, and it will have metadata on it that tracks the status of the cyber lamb treasury, which will be filled by the auctions. And so 50% of the auction proceeds go into the Cyberlam treasury, recorded on chain as metadata on each new Cyberlam as it appears. And that will be available for disbursement as the OGs may vote on. They may vote to disperse it to themselves periodically as a incentive, as a reward. They may vote to buy into other collections to support the ecosystem. They may provide services or extend the abilities of the cyber lambs or the collections. Whatever they want to do, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm having fun with it. So it's literary themed in that each one of these lambs is inspired by and celebrates and honors some author and their work, and spreads a little bit of cyberpunk into the world of the Lambster universe.
Well, I love it, man. I wanted to grab a couple more of them, to be honest, but at the same time, there's just 20 OGs, and I have two. So I felt like it would be a little bit greedy to try to get more. But those Philip K. Dick quotes that came up, I was like, oh, I got to get one of those. But I wanted to leave them for other holders because having, as you know, having a diverse group, as big a group of people in a community is always the key. Now, when you announce like chapter two of your Cyber Lambs, I was really excited because what I sort of heard echoes of was all the stuff that you've sort of experimented with and brought together. over this journey that we've both been on through Web3. So I heard wordlers a little bit when you were like every other day. I also heard like echoes of nouns, and it's really cool, man. So how are you going to do that? How do you, I mean, because your art in that, I know it's AI assisted, but it's really cool. And do you have a sort of a schedule that you're going to put together on how to work on them and stuff like that? Because that seems like a huge haul, but I know you can do it.
Yeah, so I'm reserving the right to have a little bit of a backlog. The auctions will be every 48 hours, so that'll give me 48 hours to make each one. Shouldn't be too bad of a backlog. Um, Anyone who wins one, it's sort of a bespoke item. It's not like randomly generated. So each one has a quote, an image that's inspired by the quote, an AI generated image inspired by the quote, and metadata that puts it into one of these 20 flocks. And how they get sorted into the flocks will determine the voting power of each flock, and also a treasury possibly for each flock, depending on what the shepherd wants to do with that flock. And each of these flocks has a mission. There's a video flock, and there's a fashion flock, and there's a music flock, and there's a mental wellness flock, and however the shepherd of that flock determines is the best way to move forward with that mission, and perhaps even members of the flock, people who hold cyberlambs in the flock, will be able to discuss and determine what to do that will advance the mission of that flock.
Mother flocker. Oh, sorry. I couldn't resist. Uh, it's really cool, man. We have been having so much fun on Lamina One, and the Lamster universe. Like, yeah, I think small. I was like Lamster universe, but we've done so many things. We've broken all kinds of records with Lamsters. And L1 doesn't have a monetary value yet, Lamina One token. So we don't know how much this actually is, but we just did a mega auction for a bunch of the Exodus Lamsters, and we shattered some records there. And then afterwards I took 50% of the proceeds and we did wheel spins to give it back. So we actually did the largest L1 giveaway individually that's been done on the platform. I'm pretty sure, like, of course there was stuff to the devs, and the airdrop doesn't count because that was all LL1. People got 10, but we gave away 15.5 L1, which was pretty cool. So we've been having fun telling stories. There's this amazing group of storytellers there. It's really fun. If you guys are not on Lamina One, get on there, get in the NFTs channel, join the Lamster universe, and get yourself a cyber lamb, and so many other cool things, lamb houses, and it's just fun, and people are having fun. It doesn't matter about the money. We're just doing it because it's fun to be creative together, and that's the reason. So, Indefatigable, you started to talk when I was querying Cryptoversal about your Lamina experience. How's it?
I'm bullish on Lamina One. I mean, we're all Neil Stevenson fans, and it's really funny. I can't help but go back to like 2 years ago. We get on with Neil Stevenson at my old job. I got to ask him about his book and interview him and stuff. And we brought snacks from Pizza Dow. We had Dylan in there. We had all the whole Web3 guys, and Craig Newmark of Craigslist hosted the whole event, right? So there's like this old school Web2 crew, this new Web3 crew that were deep in there, and Neil Stevenson, who was kind of in the middle. And we were like, what are you doing in Web3? He'd already like failed a couple of Web3 startup-y things. And he hinted towards a new thing. It's like now it's here. And they're kind of doing it well. I was really excited to get my like 13 LL1 that I got from limited community participation. Anyway, what I'm waiting for, and I was talking to the team earlier today. I was like, all right, we want 3D books, and our product manager put it in the thing because they haven't released the standard for 3D assets they've only done, 2D images kind of things. But once they release those standards, and hopefully it'll match the other metaverse kind of developing standards. Once they do that, it's on. And it's going to be really, really, really cool to see these assets in the world. So I think I'm holding out to create until they get the 3D standard set. But I'm really excited for how they're building community and making it make sense. Like taking it measured. It doesn't feel like a pump and dump project that's just going to disappear. It's not your traditional, oh, try my metaverse, download this app kind of Unity engine based BS. It's I'm really excited about Lamina One. Anyway, uh, I'm like, how do I get more L1 tokens?
Get a Lamster, dude. You got to buy a Lamster. Like, get a Lamster, get a Cyber Lamb, and you're going to be on the path to L1 riches.
Wait, so is there a marketplace for Lamina One creations though?
No, we're doing it all in the NFT channel. So it's all bespoke and it's all on a trust basis. So we're doing auctions and like stuff that as we go. I said bespoke, but what I meant was sometimes they're bespoke creations. Like Cryptoversal has had people basically like give quotes and pay for them, and then he creates them. But it's all on a trust basis at this point, and so we're really working on this like trust economy as well. And so far, it's working. But what I love is that the community there is not motivated by like L1 is somebody made a quote. Killen, a guy that's in there, he made a quote, and it was like Lamina One is about community, and L1 is the tool that we use to make the community stronger. Something like that. He said it much better than that, but it was like L1 isn't money. It's like a community building thing. So that's how it goes.
It's been a little crazy because without a marketplace, people need to find a way to bypass the marketplace and perform the functions a marketplace would usually perform. And we've done it with sort of the marketplace of ideas, where people just say, "Hey, I have this thing, this piece of art, or this series of pieces of art. What do you guys think? What is it worth? What and the token, what is the token worth? What is it worth in art? And that's how it's been valued. And I'm so happy that I have, of the 20 OG Cyberlambs, I think there's over a dozen holders, and I have the very first one, Cyberlamb number one, set aside for Neil Stevenson. So when he shows up, it will be waiting for him. He can claim it anytime. If he's listening, Neil, I got your Cyberlamb.
All right, so I think the point that we're making is get in there. It's a lot of fun, and the only way to get paid is to play. I was going to make some sort of clever thing, but I just couldn't do it. Um, Riona, you actually own a Lamster, but we haven't seen you much in there. I know you are so busy with a million things. Tell us about everything that's going on with Riona Morgan's world.
Oh, yes, definitely, definitely. I love Lamina One also, and I had so much fun being there. And I do have a Lamster. It's absolutely adorable. I love it so much. And I really want to be involved more, but I am so busy. I have so many amazing things going on. I know this really amazing writer who is just about ready to have his book published with Whitney Morgan Media, and I'm so excited about that. And I have other writers coming along behind, and I'm just I'm so overwhelmed with joy and happiness that this is what it is. And I jump out of bed every morning and I'm so excited to just start my day and be part of all of this. And so that is one piece. Whitney Morgan Media is just blowing up and being amazing. And Paige Dow and the YouTube video that Indy put together. Oh man, I was stuck at a stoplight. Oh, you guys don't know this. Oh my gosh. We had a massive storm, a massive summer storm last week. And we've all throughout Missoula, where I live, we've been without power for like 5 days. So, like grocery stores throwing out $1 million worth of food, all the cold food just gone. We have had like telephone poles snap in half and trees just fall over with their roots, like the root, everything, just everything. And nobody's been nobody was hurt really badly, as far as I know. And it's just like this entire community of people coming together to clean and saw wood and pick up leaves, and just like it's just been so amazing to see everybody out helping. Anyway, yesterday I was at a stoplight for, I don't know, 15 minutes or so because it wouldn't change, and we were just all patient. We were just being patient. And so I watched the video in my car that Robbie posted, and I was crying. I was crying. I was so happy and so proud and so just overwhelmed. Like I was just so overwhelmed with all of the loveliness I'm seeing around me, and the beautiful place that we're all creating and that Indie built, and that we get to share with the world. And I've just been, last couple of days has just been so overwhelming with gratitude and amazement and all of that, just worldwide. And so yeah. So I am loving Lemon One. I'm Paige Dow is rocking, and I'm so excited, and I love being part of that. And I just, anyway. So I think that was your question. So thank you, Dee.
That was definitely my question. Like, oh my God, like we all marvel at Riona Morgan. We all like kind of like when we have conversations. Yesterday, Dylan and I were talking, and we were just both like, how does she do it? Um, like we were talking about you in the most like wonderful way. I hope that reached you and you tingled from it. Hey, that writer who uh who is going to publish it, is that going to be the first book on Whitney Morgan Media?
Yes, that's
Oh,
not me. That's not
and
me.
that's
Yes,
not you. That's not you. And is that writer in this space?
it he is in this space.
Is that writer talking right now?
Yes, yes,
Oh my God! Seriously, it's me.
yes.
Oh,
It's you.
that's amazing. I knew we'd been working together. I had no idea I was going to be the first. Like
Yep,
that's
the first. Yep,
wow.
yep,
Thank you so much. That's so
yep,
cool.
yep. And
That's
Dylan Daniel is going to be the second, and Mike Smart is going to be the third. And so, yep, it's amazing, so amazing.
that is amazing. I was actually thinking it was going to be Dylan because we talked about the new book that his new book yesterday, and I was like, oh, it'll be Dylan. And then I was like, wait a minute, is it me?
It's
Oh,
you.
that's so fun.
It's
Hey,
you.
okay, while I sit here and blush and cry a little bit, let's get Dylan up on the stage. He's here. Dylan, hopefully you can come up and speak to us for a while. Tell us what's going on with you and how things are going.
Right on, right on. Well, man, I'm pretty excited, just like the rest of the Page Down team, to be seeing this video and just kind of getting the first couple of impressions from folks. And I mean, wow, what a moment. We just had our third anniversary as Page Down on the 28th, so 2 days ago, and year four is kicking off for Page Down. So we're gonna be well, I mean, you know this, of course, but this is what's going on in my life for everyone who's not already aware. But yeah, this is the starting gun. I'm starting to feel with regard to onboarding users into the application that we've been working so hard on for so long. That we put all this research into for literal years. We have as a group really put a lot into this, and I think it's going to be a product that people find useful, that fills a need, and so that's exciting, to get closer and just have such a good feeling, kind of moving forward. Um, and yeah, so there is a new book from me coming out. I kind of think maybe we should hear about your new book first. because mine still needs just a little bit of work. And we're gonna, get a few more kind of finishing touches put on it, and then run it. And I'm sure, people are just lining up to work with Rihanna because I really think she's gonna be one of the best.
Oh, well, we'll hold off on talking about my book for a while. I think we're gonna do the Riona Morgan thing of being just slightly mysterious, but I do see that Odd Writings, the poet laureate of palindrome poetry, is here with us, and we always love having you here. Odd Writings, George, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Sorry I'm so late. I got up very late with a headache and it's been kind of messy, but uh, so I'm glad I at least got here before the meeting ended, and at least like a little bit roughly halfway. And I'll listen to you. You don't feel the need to repeat everything because I don't want to bore everybody. So I'll listen afterwards to everything that I missed. Uh, Sounds like there's good news because people's voices sound like they're in high spirits as soon as I started listening. So that's good. So whatever the news is, that's great. I'm happy. Uh, and on my side, I don't have a whole lot to report. I've been working on the a book for quite a while, uh, uh, my current book, and I'm thinking about kind of mixing in some more etymology stuff along with it. Although right now I've got it such that it's only poetry on iCandy. But if you go to the web version, each little poem in this book has an associated web page on my blog. And on the web page, I've been adding etymological thoughts on the words used in the poem. And I wasn't originally going to stick that in the book, but now I'm thinking, well, if I do that, I can double the length of the book in half the time. So that's kind of cool. But at the same time, well, maybe it's kind of breaking up the audience of the book. So that's top of my mind, which is very trivial, but at least it's something to talk about. So that's me.
It's not trivial at all, dude. I mean, you're basically telling us that you're doing a transmedia poetry project, but it's just trivial. But that's not trivial at all. And you made me think actually that like Joan Westerberg, the Dow Jones Index, she is an Australian writer and creative who has done like some amazing things in the space, in the Web3 space, and in the writing space, and creativity space, and promotion, marketing, stuff like that. But Joan recently wrote this article that was all about how the future of publishing is indie, like indefatigable. I don't think she met you, but that's what the title was of the article. The future is indie, and so it may be the case, but she no longer publishes on X. So I can't like link to her stuff, but we did post that article in the Vagobond Media Discord, and so I highly recommend that you guys go and read it. It is just an absolutely amazing, amazing article. It talks about transmedia and indie producers and publishers and why the industry is broken, everything that we have been focusing on for the past couple of years. And I know a few of you guys read that article as well. I wonder if anybody has thoughts on that or you know reactions to it.
I don't know. I'm gonna jump in real quick. Like, yes, 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 yes. It's so clearly delineated, and it's exactly what we've all been saying forever. But like, it's like the existing publishing system is completely broken. Um, I spent 6 years at a literary nonprofit, and in that entire time, I was like, "Oh my God, how does anyone hear any voice that isn't exactly mainstream and what this very, very uh, gentrified, homogenized, small-minded list of people think is going to sell, and what they're willing to back to sell?" Like, it's horrendously broken, and the pipelines with these lit awards, which I got to know personally, people who've managed these big literary awards, and just how broken their judging mechanisms are. And it's so painful to see this thing, and it's so clear that we need independent solutions. So I was happy to see that all verified by this author.
Okay, and I did actually post it up in the nest. So I posted it from my account, CDs, but the article title is "The Future of Storytelling is Indie," and it's by Joan Westerberg. It's a Medium, or not, actually, Paragraph is where they're publishing now. It's on Paragraph. Okay, so any other thoughts or reactions from anybody else? Musashi, I know that you read it. You seem to have some thoughts about that, I thought, in the Discord. But maybe you can't talk right now. That's okay. Riona, did you get a chance to look at that?
I did. I did read it, and I posted it also. Like, we posted it like exactly the same time, and I put a link down below so that Odd Writings can access it, so he can look at it too. And so yes, and it echoes every single thing, every single thought that I have had about the traditional publishing industry, and the kinds of things that um, putting together what we're doing at PageDAO, and putting together with what we're doing at Whitney Morgan Media, and having it being open to voices beyond the mainstream traditional stereotypical trite kind of. And I don't want to be disrespectful, because a lot of friends of mine are writers in the traditional vein, but I really feel like that there's so many other writers also that aren't in the traditional vein that need to be heard. They have stories and thoughts, and that don't mirror everything that's already there. And I know that the big publishers think this is going to be successful because this other book that was like it is successful. But then what about the other? What about the other? Can't that be successful? Can't that find a voice? Can't we have women that save themselves? Can't we have the other voices? And so I'm so excited, and I feel very privileged to be in a situation where I get to say yes as a publisher, and I get to say yes all the time, no matter what. Pretty much. I mean, unless you're talking about murdering people and you're serious, I'm gonna go for it, really, I'm and maybe if you are talking about murdering people, so long as it's fiction, I think we're all right. um anyway, so, and then paged out, also being able to have this partnership where we can connect in a different way, in a better way, a more powerful way, and a lasting way, that protects and celebrates the writer, and um, pulls the reader in something that's so exciting. And so, yes, I I read the article, and I want to echo um, those same sentiments, because and I think I even wrote in the Vagabond media Discord that I reading those articles makes me feel lucky that we are us, and we are the ones creating the change that we all need. Yes, Odd Writings, I see your hand up.
I think one cool thing, and I don't know if this was mentioned in the article or not, but one cool thing about putting books and poetry on the blockchain uh, is that even if it takes 100 years for these sorts of transformations to appear, uh, people can, like, our stuff will be there, right? And unlike, say, nowadays, say you write something and it doesn't fit what people want and it never gets published, there's a good chance it's just going to disappear. No one's going to know about it. But if you NFTize, if you mint something first, then it's there. And as long as we can keep the decentralization with IPFS and stuff, if we can keep that up to date, if it's like a big book, or maybe on chain if it's a small poem, then we have time on our side. So we're kind of future proofing this thing. So that's kind of cool.
That's a really cool point. Odd Writings, like I love that. Like, even if it doesn't happen, um, while we're alive, we still have the opportunity to be part of it after we're gone. Weirdly, like, it's weird to say that. Now, one of the things in that article that really struck me, that I had I got to admit, like, I'd never given this a second's thought, was Joan touched on celebrity biography and how much of the industry is dedicated to that particular garbage vein. And I'd never thought of it. I'd never thought about like what garbage it is. I mean, like one celebrity biography, people like reading that stuff, but it's rarely written by the celebrities themselves. The authors who do write it rarely get the credit. They don't get the payment for it. They don't make millions of dollars for it. And if it's written well, if it's a genius thing, they're, you know, it's lost in the shuffle of the next celebrity biography or whatever. So it's just so weird. I mean, I when I was younger, I read a fair amount of Gore Vidal books, and I liked Gore Vidal's writing. Loved his style, and I felt like when he wrote a biography, it was really taking me into the soul of the person. And the celebrity biography stuff that we have today is definitely not of that vein. There's a particular formula that the publishing houses seem to have discovered and follow, and it usually goes with like a superficial biography about career highlights with maybe one or two troubles, and then a celebrity cookbook, and then a celebrity home decorating tip, and then a celebrity trivia book or box game. And it's just I never considered that like celebrity genre is such a huge thing that is taking energy and space, shelf space, away from actual writers, from actual stories, from actual art. It's so crazy.
And of course, celebrities that are celebrities now, many of them will not be celebrities in 100 years. So more bloat.
We finally got Easy and Crypto up on the stage. I know you have something to say about this.
Hey, yeah, stoked to be here. I'm just a little update. I'm getting close to the end of this dental journey. They're still always booking me on Tuesdays, so I missed last week's. Luckily, today's is in the afternoon, so I'm getting ready to head off in about 20 minutes here when the space wraps up. But yeah, so just to tag on to the latest, going past even the drudgery of reading a celebrity biography would be, these like politicians are even doing it. They get like they're all, oh, I'm gonna spill the like beans after I'm out of office instead of sharing this horrible shit that's going on while I'm like responsible. So it's crazy out there. But on a better note, I wanted to also wish a happy anniversary for Whoopee.
For me, you cut out just a little bit there, but I'm pretty sure I know what you were saying. Happy fourth anniversary to Paige Dow. Whippy, was that it?
That was the end there. Yeah, definitely. Just so awesome to see the incredible, consistent, positive movement of Paige Dow bringing in authors. I mean, Riona killing it. Freaking Indy out of control. Freaking Dylan as epic as ever. I mean, it's such a pleasure to be a part of this fam.
I couldn't agree more. And I have to say, I got bumped a little bit earlier in the conversation when George, you called it a meeting. Like, I don't know why, but I would say this is the opposite of a meeting. But I don't know exactly why that bumped me, but it did. You're like, oh, I almost didn't make it to the meeting.
That's a good point. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm inwardly cringing just a little bit.
I'm sorry. You're good, buddy. You're good. It's if you hadn't have said that, we wouldn't be getting to have these positive vibes right now.
George is going to give us the etymology of meeting in a second.
I hope so.
I'll try to put meeting into one of my little poems here in the book, and then I'll relate the excitement. I'm not going to do it now because that would be kind of cheating, but yeah, maybe I'll do that because I like actually the etymologies of really small words is actually really interesting because the meaning has changed so much over time. And nobody thinks of looking up the word meeting because everyone's like, oh, well, I know what a meeting is. But if you look at actually look it up and look at the etymology, especially in the OED, you'll find like meanings that are obsolete, and that will totally change the meaning of a poem if you think of the obsolete meaning, which is kind of cool.
I literally have tears in my eyes. I am laughing so hard, you guys. I hope that somebody is taking this moment to look up the etymology of meaning. I can't do it right this instant. As a matter of fact, I'm going to shut off my mic. Anybody else that wants to grab the mic, now is your opportunity.
Well, I think I might jump in a little bit and put on my publisher hat and talk a little bit about CD's book from the perspective of a reader. And I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm not even going to tell you the title of it, but I am going to say that as a reader who was privileged to read the book, I miss the characters. I miss them the minute I close the pages. And to me, that is a testament of something that has been beautifully written. And I can't wait. I can't wait for you all to experience it. And so I just wanted to share. And I'm so excited for what T. Dylan Daniel is working on, and I'm honored to be able to help bring your voices to the world and to the readers. And so I'm so excited. And Odd Writings, I love the language, and the linguistics was my absolute favorite class when I was getting my English major, and syntax, and I love diving into and really looking closely at words. I love words, and I get so very excited about what they mean and where they come from and what they've created for us. And so thank you so much for always sharing that. I just love it. I just love it.
Thanks. It's clearly one of my loves as well. And it fits with the whole NFT thing and the whole NFT theme, because again, in 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, our stuff is still out there, but by then all these words, or many of them, will have new nuances and new meanings and so on. And I don't know, it's kind of cool to think about how technology-wise we could somehow affect the interpretation of that. Although I'll have to think a lot more about that. I'm just talking off the cuff at this point.
Speaking of off the cuff, do you think words are evolving, changing at a faster pace now that we are kind of globally more connected?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's inevitable because the technology allows people to talk so much more, and at the same time, the population of the Earth is increasing. And simply by the fact that the population is increasing means there's going to be more evolution in words because more people are speaking, and there's more situations in which words are going to happen. So even if we didn't have you know such advanced things such as telephones and and less advanced things like the internet, then it's still, yeah, the evolution is faster. And uh, uh, and there's lots of different pathways where words can take on meanings and they die, and of course slang has a lot to do with that. And well, I think we all know these things.
Yeah, I can definitely jump in on this and think about this a little bit with you. And so, thinking of the history of change in language as a general thought, a lot of people think, oh, that comes from change in language, comes from academia to the non academia population. And that's not actually how language changes. Language changes from non-academia population to academia. It goes the opposite direction of what you're thinking. And we actually have an entire new set of language with blockchain and wallets and like all of these ways that we may be using a word that, like hashtag or pound sign, like it's the same thing but it's different completely. And um I don't know when blockchain first came online as something that we talk about or utilize. Like I don't know the history of when it was first used, but it is even going to morph into something else, like everything. And the transmedia, I love this new term. And that's new, I think. Because it was the first I'm hearing of it anyway, just in this last couple of weeks. And that is so exciting. And so we are creating the change in language just by the very nature of us building these new things and creating these new things. And that's exciting. That's exciting.
I want to jump in there real quick about transmedia because my undergrad thesis was about transmedia storytelling, and way back published in 2008, or I guess published submitted in 2008. But the first I heard of it was in a book by Henry Jenkins, who is an anthropologist of storytelling. He's amazing. He's a technology anthropologist. He wrote a book called Convergence Culture, and Convergence Culture was about where old and new media collide. I think it was like 2004. So that's when I was first introduced to transmedia as a term, and I think it's a term that has been waiting to sort of be caught up with by our ability to tell transmedia stories more effectively, and it's really cool to hear that. Yeah, that's it.
I think another idea I just had, the thing about we have machine learning systems, and we could have them you know mine NFT mine blockchains is kind of like time databases partly frozen in time, but at least with the time aspect is very important to what's saved in the NFT. So I could see a machine learning system try to track etymological changes, but doing it in a way such that it's, instead of like, it seems like you ought to be able to change the algorithm a bit in order to, instead of learn from what is there, note the changes in the way that words are spoken or written. But then a problem with that is that when people write, the language that's used on the written page is very different from the way that people speak. When people speak, they don't finish sentences. They kind of, just like I'm doing now, I'm kind of like speaking in little chunks of sentences. And so if I imagine a one of these intelligent systems, machine learning systems, analyzing spoken speech versus analyzing written speech, they need to be able to know that they're different and not mesh them all together. I would think, but maybe that's kind of I don't know, just thoughts.
Dude, speaking of thoughts, you triggered one. Um, what about, okay, so Riona was saying how even in just Web3, like we have our own new languages popping up. A funny instance would be like HODL. Now that came from a mistake in spelling, but is completely adopted. Now we're not too far off from having like a lot more AI interaction, maybe like Tesla bots walking around, bumping into stuff, trying to fix your eggs in the morning, but they can't quite get it right. But what if they're like, oh, here's your eggles, sir, or whatever mistake, little slip up they make could become new slang. So now we have like artificial intelligence possibly, um instead of it just being ground up from like people coming up with a new way to express themselves, we could have this whole other kind of input into slang and stuff.
And that brings up another topic, which I think Dylan would be all into it, which is the existence of error. Like, philosophically, this is a big question mark. Like, why do people make errors? Why would that, if you believe in evolution, why would that evolve? It seems to be a human thing to make an error. And so in this sense, it would be an example of an error by an AI, which, it's somehow useful because it ends up with new words. So there's a philosophical slant to all of this.
I think Dylan's been called out, but I don't think he can make it to the mic right now. Dylan, when you can, you've definitely been called out.
Oh, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Oh yeah.
Okay, the little speaking indicator is lagging quite a bit, I guess. But yeah, so I mean, like in psychology, you have like reward prediction error, right? And like error is literally the thing that makes intelligence work in the first place. Like the reason that the machines aren't intelligent is that they don't understand when they've made errors, and they don't necessarily have like a way to like feed that information back in. You know, so like with Chat GPT 4.0, for example, they trained it and then they kind of froze it and they released it, right? And so you go and use it, but it's not evolving, it's not changing, it's not being trained by the input that it gets from you directly. I think they do solicit user feedback and incorporate that into their models moving forward and stuff. But you know, error is the difference between what actually happens and what you expected to happen. I think you know at the end of the day, and so it is a fascinating place to sink a little bit of philosophical explanation and exploration, I guess is what I was going for there.
So let's think, how can we mix error within literature on the web? Is there some way we can play with error? How about books speaking to each other through like an internet of things, but it's an internet of books, and maybe they're training each other by speaking to each other. So you have this library, and you've got your electronic books there, and this is like RWA stuff. So the real world asset, that a physical book that's tied to your NFT book. Um, and all your physical asset books on the shelves are talking to each other and learning from each other. And from there, they can, spit out Chat GPT sort of in a sort of way, a summary of how they differ and how they don't differ, and thereby create their own progeny, create their own books. And then from there, there will be some errors because maybe, I don't know, I'm blabbing.
What the hell? What just happened here?
Dude. Odd Writings with a Headache is blowing my mind. This is incredible. It also reminds me of a post that Phil put in the PageDAO general chat about a new product called Wise Bits, um, which does similar things, but not the interaction, which is like the stroke of genius. Like it's got to be about interactions. This is also part of Dylan's research, which is why I'm excited for his upcoming book. When we think about networked properties, the workspace that gets created when you put things into interaction, all these beautiful emergent properties happen, and so it's exciting to think about. That's so mind blowing.
Dude, the robo nannies reading bedtime stories, like there's a lot that's gonna be wildly changing, and I think how people interact with their literature. I hadn't really thought so much about how AI would affect like readers and I thought some more about it, how it affects writers using the tools, but yeah, a whole other kind of can of worms there.
I can tell you one thing for sure. These ideas are going to make it into the works of Cryptoversal. 100%. I see these for sure being part of the Cyberlam project.
Yeah, scientific works or science fiction works are a good breeding ground for these kind of things before they become reality.
It's all dreams. It's all the dreams of us and also the android's dreams.
You guys, oh my goodness, the craziest thing happened. Okay, so I don't know if anybody here has read my short fiction, The Price of Bliss Eternal, but like I made a play with a time crystal that was, like obviously just totally fictional. But today I was reading about time crystals, and apparently that's going to help them run quantum computers at like closer to room temperature, which is wild.
Did you patent it?
No, no, I just wrote sci-fi about it.
I think Doctor Who has some time crystal stuff in it too, so the patent might not work. Um, but it's pretty amazing, dude. That's amazing to hear. Actually, like it's actually going to be a real thing. Time crystals.
There could be a new classification of NFTs, which would be idea NFTs. So you have one of these ideas, just like we're blabbing about it right now. We're having these ideas. but create an NFT out of it, and there's your IP, right? You can prove that idea. Well, you can't really prove it because not everybody's not everybody's minting. But if everyone were to be minting, come up with an idea, make an idea NFT out of it that just has the idea, and then you can link it to books that you write based on that idea, and then you can have, again, the machine learning stuff, and it would create a tree, and it'd say, look, here's this idea, and it led to this book, and that book led to this other book. Kind of like you've probably seen those graphs of bands and genre, musical genres. It'll have, Metallica and these huge letters, and the size of the letter indicates how much of an influence they've had on other heavy metal bands, and kind of make a graph out of it. All that stuff could be semi-automated, but of course the big challenge is have everybody mint stuff, which then brings in the question of, well, instead of having people have to do it, then what if they did it automatically? So you had little robots, and anything you said would be minted. And although the authoritarian state on this would be scary.
Unless they were private.
Wow. You guys, odd writings with a headache. Indefatigable. That wins the internet. That statement right there. Odd writings with a headache is blowing my mind. So William S. Burroughs had this whole idea that was he took his fiction, he cut it up into like equal size pieces with equal size lines, and then he would rearrange it into new fiction. It was like cut ups. And in a sense, what we're talking about with the errors and the rearranging of ideas and things is a little bit like what the large language models actually are doing right now, right? So large language models are essentially doing a huge informational cut up work by taking pieces and putting them back together in ways that we didn't necessarily expect them to be put together. At least that's my understanding of it. What do you guys think about that idea? And we are running just on the tail end, but let's hear what everybody thinks about that first.
I think it sounds about right, CD. I mean, like that's certainly a read that I would subscribe to. It accounts for the fact that, you need to put things in. The thing about LLMs that I think is most interesting is to think about the future of, where the content's going to come from, because I think this is going to create incentives for people to write new things, fictional, scientific, and otherwise.
Yeah, just to like kind of carry on with that, like when we have small personal devices that can actually run an AI, not just like like you mentioned that ChatGPT is like it's been trained. It's not like learning necessarily from your interactions. When we have those like personal AIs that really know us, have know our style of like speaking, can identify our writing from others, and like I'm also still stuck on this like NFT Kickstarter idea incubator. I mean, multiple times I have like an invention. I thought of like reaching out to those like invention hotlines back in the day, and it was like, oh man, I'm gonna make this robotic. Well, one of them was, what was it? It was like the gutter mole, and it's this little like remote control car that you just put in at the corner of your roof gutter, and it like goes along and kind of like scoops out all the stuff for you, and you just sweep it up below instead of having to be up there on the roof or move the ladder. Like it's things like that. You like come up with an idea, you're like, hey, AI, help me consolidate this idea, like figure out like how much it would cost to make a prototype, and then like make the NFT to fund the prototype. I don't know. I mean, this stuff is rad.
Yeah, I think the LLM thing about taking pieces of ideas and sticking them together, that's similar. One thing that kind of I wonder about. I read about the transformer model, which is behind a lot of the LLMs, and how they break everything up into pieces. But the interesting thing is when they break up text, it's not word by word. Like it'll be, you know, it'll be all the chunks are the same size, and yet it comes out with intelligent sounding, speech, which that to me is very strange.
I saw something about, Elon's like $10 billion AI center that they want to do with like the next round of the like hottest NVIDIA chips. Like there's gonna be some mega AI center. Microsoft, I think, has an even bigger one in the works, but it's like many years away. So yeah, we're just, I mean, we're just getting on the tracks here. Train's just leaving the station.
Well, my friends, that brings a close to this amazing meeting of the Web3 writers. And I'll be back sometime, but next week or maybe the week following, I'll let Riona speak to that. But the Web3 writers will be back. But in the meantime, why don't we close out this one in our typical way? Everybody that's here, I currently reside in Hawaii, and we like to close out the Web3 writers by giving back aloha. When we say the word aloha, we're not just saying hello, goodbye, we're also saying love, and we're also using the word ha, which means that we're like sharing the breath. We all breathe the same air. We are one world, one people, one group of Web3 writers having a meeting. So let's do that at the count of three. Everybody open up your mic. Count of three. 1, 2, 3.
Aloha.
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 The Web3 Writers is brought to you by Vagobond magazine and published on Apple Podcasts through the Substack app. You can find all the episodes on Apple Podcasts or at Vagobond, vagobond.substack.com. Our theme music is composed by the amazingly talented Paolo Argento and brought to us courtesy of Pixabay. You can find the link in the show notes.